Florence, and we love our Caldwell and Lyon County friends. We invite you to come to Cadiz anytime you can to shop with us. We're making it even easier for you. Whether you work in Cadiz or just come to town for a visit, stop in and shop with us. But if you're in a hurry, you can pre-order your groceries at HancocksNeighborhoodMarket.com. It's so easy and convenient. Of course, we want to see your smiling face anytime we can, but if you're in a hurry, HancocksNeighborhoodMarket.com is the way to go. Hancock's Neighborhood Market, Cadiz.
Since 1978, Perry's Floors & More has been selling, installing, and servicing homeowners throughout Western Kentucky with quality flooring and workmanship. Perry's Floors & More carries luxury vinyl plank and luxury vinyl tile, carpet, window treatments, and more. Brands like Mannington, Shaw, Tarkett, Beaulieu, and Flexitech. Quality brands, excellent customer service, combined with 40 years experience is why they say you can walk on our reputation. See Bill and Lucy at Perry's Floors & More, 127 West Market Street, Princeton.
Hey, Coach, got a new hairdo for the game tonight.
Robert, that's a hair don't hair should either be behind tight or out of sight. Made a bad choice, son. These street tacos, however, were a good choice. See, they come with sirloin steak and pork carnitas now. Sometimes choices are good.
So you like my hair?
No, I do not, Robert. Ole of the day, Bobby.
Get 3 street tacos for just $5, including new sirloin steak and pork carnitas. Ole of the day at Taco John's.
Taco John's, Princeton.
1580 103.3 WPKY. We are joined this morning by Mr. Dale Faughn, and I understand, Mr. Faughn, you are a World War II veteran.
That is correct.
Well, and you're here to talk to us. We've got Veterans Day coming up. I'm sure everybody knows that that's this weekend. So talk to us about your experience.
All right. And if I start dragging you, you tell me.
Give you a signal, right? Okay.
It goes back to December 1941. I was listening to the radio, and all of a sudden, I heard that Japan had bombed Pearl Harbor. And, of course, that changed the world. Hitler in Germany had set out to conquer the world, going back to about 1939. And so war was raging in Europe and had been doing just that. So this just changed everything. They started rationing our certain kinds of food and gasoline and things of that nature. And then they kept calling people, our neighbors and so on, and inducting them into the military service. I, at this time, of course, was not old enough to. And the next day at our high school where I graduated, the old Eddyville, we met in the gym, and we had a radio there, and we listened to President Franklin D. Roosevelt ask the Congress to declare war on Japan. And, of course, we were woefully unprepared, I would say, for the war. We just weren't ready for it and lost so much of our fleet there. And so I followed closely what was going on because I knew I'd be involved in this pretty soon. And then there came a time when I became 18 years of age, and I registered for the military draft, as all of the others did. And then in a few days, I was called up by the draft board. But here I was, a senior in high school, so I requested from them that I might have the privilege of finishing high school, and they graciously let me finish high school. And then 3 weeks before the end of my graduation, they sent me to Evansville, a busload of us, and we were examined for the service. And I was so happy coming home because I had passed for the military service. People have asked me, how did you feel about that? Well, I felt good because when you're 18, you have a sense of adventure, and then all of your buddies around, they're being inducted, and so it was great. And then 1 week after I graduated from high school, I was inducted into the Marine Corps. They were after you in a hurry. They had to do things just like that. And I had never been anywhere except to Eddyville, Princeton, Catawba, and possibly Cadiz. And they put me on a train and sent me to California, out to San Diego. And in a way, you can imagine how my eyes were open and all the things I was seeing. They sent me through boot camp, and they didn't treat us like mama's boys at all. You've heard about the Marine Corps, I guess. And I agree with the treatment because if you're going to flunk out, it should be while you're in boot camp, not on a battlefield somewhere. So they were rough, but I do approve of of that rigid training, and I might say I think that influenced me somewhat in my teaching, that some people thought I was strict. Some people thought I wasn't, at least, and I think the boot camp training, another training, did that. So they rushed me right through. I got 10 days to come home, and as on a furlough, which meant I had 2.5 days at home. After boot camp, they sent about 40 of us to Scout Sniper School up in the mountains, and that was an interesting experience. And I had been inducted in May, and so in Thanksgiving of that year, and we're still talking about 44, they sent us overseas to start with. Then, of course, was Hawaii. And then they sent us out about Christmas out in the Pacific on these great big ships, about 6,000 people they'd have, and we maneuvered around out there for a long while. We didn't know where we were going. We didn't, but other people did know. And then there came a time that they talked to us. The night came, and they told us we were going into Iwo Jima, and that was a place way out in the Pacific, an island 8 square miles, pork chop shaped, Mount Suribachi on one end of it, and that was the place where the famous flag racing took place. And we were just not prepared for what we were going to find there on Iwo Jima. They had dug in caves and all of that. They thought we'd be there about 4 or 5 days. We went in on February the 19th, and we didn't leave until March the 16th. And that was a big surprise. But we had to have Iwo Jima. We had to have, because Japan had to be bombed, and we had to have a fueling station somewhere. And so Iwo Jima was desired. It had to be caught and there win, and so we got it. All right, we went on then after Iwo Jima. We came back to the Hawaiian Islands where we were stationed, and somebody was listening to the radio and said, maybe the war's going to end right fast like. They've dropped a bomb on Hiroshima, Japan. And then in a few days on Nagasaki, Japan, and they were right in their prediction the war did end. They had issued us prior to that cold weather clothing. We had no idea where we were going, so they took it up right fast like. And then where are they going to send us? Well, Japan soon fell. So they rounded us a big group, and they sent us to Japan as occupation forces. That was Sasebo, Kyushu, Japan. We stayed there about a month. Then they split our group in two and sent half to China, and they sent the other half to the Pala Islands on this particular island called Peleliu. It's kind of like Gilligan's Island. This was after the war, and we were pretty laid back. We played volleyball and did things down there, and we had our work to do and so on. And then there came time to send us home, and of course, it took a good long while to get home. We had stop-offs in all those places. So we wound up in Oakland, California. And then they sent from Oakland, California to North Carolina. And there I received my Marine Corps discharge. I'm still gung-ho. I still believe in the Marine Corps. I really believe in the Marine Corps. I believe in all the branches of the service. And when I have chances to talk about veterans, I've tried to include all of them to be proud of whatever branch of the service you were in, whatever branch of the service, be proud. And if I know I have a buddy who feels like this, and he doesn't feel too proud to call himself a Marine because he didn't go overseas. And I tried to point out they didn't want to take everybody overseas. Who's going to guard our nation here if everybody went overseas? And I hope I helped him to see he's truly a veteran. I'd say anybody who served in any branch of the military service, whatever their job was, then they are a veteran. And I'm so glad that the radio station here is doing just what you're doing. I appreciate all the invitations I've gotten through the years, because we must keep alive the importance of veterans. You see, we wouldn't have we wouldn't have a nation without the veterans. Or we might have, but we'd be speaking Japanese or German or something else. And so not just because I'm a veteran, we owe such a tremendous debt to veterans. And I'm happy to say, I see a lot of people who I think show their appreciation. When I speak at different places, even little children will come up and say, thank you for your service. So that means maybe parents are doing a pretty good job. Maybe the teachers are doing a pretty good job, and all these other people. But you've heard this saying that freedom is not free, and it surely is not free. We paid a huge price, and every war we pay a huge price for it. What prices do we pay? Well, we pay with a leg shot off or an arm, or we get so mentally deranged that we don't know really what's going on. So the prices are mighty, mighty high. We leave behind veterans. We leave behind the kids, orphans, and so on. So the price is just tremendous. And so I don't want to take too much of your time, and I'll respond to any questions that you might have.
You know, I don't know what else I can ask. That's a wonderful story and a wonderful way to put it. The only thought that I had when you were talking about you went in as a wide-eyed 18-year-old, ready for adventure.
Yes. When
you made it to Japan, did the reality set in? Was it a different feeling then?
No, it was really good to get to Japan, but they told us before we got off the ship, we don't know how the Japanese will accept it. You know how the Japanese, their whole philosophy, not to surrender and all that. And so they warned us, we don't know how they will receive you. But they received us, I thought, quite well. I didn't notice any Japanese showing aggression or anything toward us.
So you weren't involved in any of the combat?
This goes back to Iwo Jima. That's where the combat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
that's where the combat was.
I'm sorry.
But
I thought you
here
said
in
you went
Japan,
there. Okay.
you see, the war had ended, and so we were occupation forces.
Gotcha.
There.
Okay. I'm sorry. I missed that part of the conversation.
That's all right.
My mind went a different place. Do you have anything else you'd like to add for us? Veterans Day is this Sunday, right? The 11th?
That's
this
when
Sunday.
it is. That's when it is.
And so, WPKY, first of all, I'd like to say WPKY thanks you as a veteran and all veterans for your service. Like you said, regardless of whether you were in a specific major war or you played a more administrative role,
Right.
Either way.
Right.
Either way, it's a service and a sacrifice. And like you said, they leave orphans, and they also leave moms have to bury their sons and their daughters, and that's
right.
not okay.
That's right.
Never okay.
That's right. That's part of the price that we have to pay. Well, incidentally, when some at school one time found out I was a veteran, they thought I was a veteran of the Revolutionary War. And I don't know, I came after that somewhat.
Yeah, that's probably just a little bit sooner than your time. Huh? Mr. Faughn, we thank you so much for being with us today. And, again, we from WPKY, we appreciate your service.
Well, thank you so much for asking. This is a favor for me. I always want the chance when I can get it to talk about veterans.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.